I've mentioned WatchPoint a few times in here. What we do with WatchPoint is, WatchPoint is a solution where we can take a snapshot every minute from all of our appliances and roll that up into a single monitoring point, into a single database. That's of course useful because, as we saw earlier, whenever I used OmniPeak and connected it to an engine, I was connected to a single engine. And like I said, I could bring up a view of each engine, but that's still the way I was looking at it. Let's say I want to know the throughput across my entire network. I want to know the top talkers across my entire network, not just across for that one box. Even if that one box is looking at, a 10 gig segment that's got a lot of my traffic, I still may want to roll that up. I may want to roll in NetFlow and SFlow as well. Well, with WatchPoint, we're able to do that. We can bring all of that into a central point, like I say, minute by minute in a single place. So we can respond to trends more quickly. It's OmniFlow, NetFlow, and SFlow. WatchPoint also allows us to create application tags so that we can categorize traffic in certain unique ways for customers. Depending on the data rates, but we can typically go up to about a year of 1 minute granularity. So, from a diagrammatic perspective, the way we do this is we have, our multiple appliances, and, the way we showed this earlier was I was using OmniPeak and I connected to an engine, or to another engine, or to another engine. But now, with WatchPoint, we take our 1 minute samples, we bring them up to WatchPoint where there's a very large database, and we store that minute by minute data. We can also bring in data, like I said, from NetFlow and SFlow. So WatchPoint allows you to do a number of things, but one of the key things that it allows you to do, which is also unique, is I can go from that very high level monitoring, which I'll show you quickly here in a demo, all the way down to packet analysis when the packets are still available on the appliance. So, back on that diagram, the way this is really working is, so I might have any one of these appliances or all of them active in the network. So at this level, what they're doing is they're capturing and analyzing packet data. And if I ask them to, they're storing packet data for as long as I ask them to store it for, and as long as there's disk space for. So I'm going to have, at this level, statistical data and packets available to me for really detailed analysis. Then every minute, I'm going to take stats off that box and bring them up to WatchPoint. All I'm ever going to have at this level is a kind of a 1 minute statistical view of my network. But if in that 1 minute statistical view, I see an area that I'm interested in, and I want to do that detailed packet analysis like we saw earlier with OmniPeak, and that data is still available on the engine, those packets are still available, the monitoring system will, number one, tell me the packets are still available, and number two, allow me to just via a single click come down and start a detailed analysis session on that particular appliance to see that particular problem. And we're going to show that here in just a minute. So we can do alarms and alerts, of course, with a monitoring system, reporting with the monitoring system, custom views with the monitoring system, things that you would expect with any monitoring system.
Well, can you clarify, are you doing basic SNMP polling as well? Gathering CPU, memory, bandwidth utilization?
We had that in the product at one time. We are not doing that right now with the product. It's just the flow-based type information. Oh. There are so many good open source SNMP solutions out there that are really quite capable.
It's just nice seeing the triage overlaid on top to see if there's a top talker or whatever's going on, to then quickly look at the path that's being taken, or just a device that that's heavily utilized bandwidth, CPU, memory. And I think I've only seen like one product that has flow, packet, and SNMP built in, and it seems like now more and more decoupling those.
Right.
So it makes it harder to triage, a lot of things in the network. So
that's good feedback, and I think it's something that we certainly can and may revisit with the SNMP. We didn't take any of the code out, so yeah. So just a few of the things that are unique about WatchPoint, and one of the things that we realized as we started down the path of our latest release was we really were facing a big data problem with WatchPoint. We were accepting data minute by minute from multiple analysis sessions from multiple appliances, from NetFlow and SFlow, and bringing all that into a single database. So we were constantly writing very large blocks into a database every minute, and of course it was probably taking 10, 15 seconds out of every minute to write those big blocks, and then still expecting that database to be highly performant when the user, through a web interface, wanted to see the data. And that's really kind of the characteristic of a big data problem. So we made a significant change, moving from open source databases into a licensed commercial database that's specifically designed for big data, and saw a tremendous increase in performance in WatchPoint in doing that. It's a really a very lively interface nowadays. One of the things that's unique is the ability to do this 1 minute granularity. In a lot of cases, even in network monitoring solutions, whether they're based on our type of data or NetFlow or SFlow or even SNMP, to save space in that database, a lot of other products time average. So they'll have 1 minute granularity, but after 2 weeks or a month, it'll become 1 hour granularity, and then eventually, maybe 8 hour granularity, or even 1 day granularity. And that makes it very difficult when you want to go back in time. If you haven't done baselines like we were talking about earlier, it makes it very difficult because it's hard to compare data that's at different granularities from different times, in the collection. So with the 1 minute granularity, we're able to really do comparisons and baselines for customers, even if they didn't do them originally.
Quick question, actually. Was WatchPoint itself the NetFlow collector, or are you gathering the NetFlow data from another collector, third party?
WatchPoint has a NetFlow collector of its own, so we sell the NetFlow collector as well as a collector for our own data.
Okay.
Yeah. One of the things that's unique is the ability to again drill down, like I said, into those packets. And rather than talk about that, it's much more effective, I think, to show you that drill down into packets, which I'll do here in a second. One of the other things that's unique in WatchPoint is when we're collecting data from our own appliances, we're also able to collect all of that voice over IP data that I showed you earlier. So we can now archive a voice over IP call data record for up to a year, where users can see all of the calls on their network. They can dial back at any point in time and see what the calls were. If you want to see a week's worth of calls from 2 months ago, you run that query, that just comes up, and there you have that report. We also do the same thing with our expert events. I didn't talk too much about this in the original demo. Tim had mentioned it a little bit earlier, but we are always in the background as we're analyzing the packets, looking for a large number of different types of expert faults and network faults and network events that might be of interest to a user. There's just a few examples of them here, but things like HTTP slow response time, DNS slow response times, ICMP ports unreachable, DNS errors, those types of things. And again, because we're collecting from our own data, not from flow-based data, we're able to get a capture of all of these expert events as well, and be able to use those in the monitoring system to guide users back into the appropriate data. So why WatchPoint? And we went through most of these, but certainly the 1 minute granularity, the VoIP, the drill down, the fact that it is now a full solution based on deep packet inspection, all the way from detailed analysis all the way up to overall network monitoring. So one of the key things again about WatchPoint is rolling up all of this data. So we have a number of different pre-built reports. What the pre-built reports are things that we've already even pre-queried about the network. So 24-hour reports, 1 week reports, so those are very, very timely. What we mainly deal with are things like our network detail report. So in the network detail report, pretty similar to reports from our other solutions, you'll see an overall graph of the throughput on the network. So again, this is an aggregate of all of the different interfaces that I'm looking at, and we can see a list of those interfaces over here. So the way we actually have this configured is we have 2 different what we call collectors. Collectors are boxes that actually have databases on them that are retrieving, accepting data from either our appliances or from NetFlow or SFlow. and these are the different interfaces that are on those. So we're looking at a number of different networks. So we're looking at our VoIP network, we're looking at a data center, we're looking at the New York network, the EMEA network, et cetera. So all of that kind of rolls up, and we have an overall aggregate throughput up here. We're also able to break things down by application, so we can see our overall utilization of things by, we call them applications. It's really more just conditions. It can be an app like web or Flash, but it can also be, you know what, I'm going to have a tag for the finance department. I want to see what's just the activity from the finance department. I can put together a little definition of the finance department, and that then looks to me like an application. But one of the great values in here is that it's not just about this one particular view. So in here we're looking at the last hour, but I can come up and always quickly change the time range. You know what, I want to look at the last day of network traffic. So quick, I'm okay, I update, and now it's a while, it's a little bit slower than usual, but now I'll look at the last day's worth of network traffic. If there are particular areas that I want to go drill in, like there was this one period of time here where utilization was up for much longer than usual, I can click on that and then ask for the detail, and it will now drill in on just that particular area, just that spike. Everything below it again changes to reflect it. My interfaces, my app stats, my nodes, all of that changes with it at the same time. If I want to maybe get back to packets, maybe I want to break down that aggregation by these different interfaces, so I can go do that. Just by clicking compare, I will see everything from the different interfaces. This one always kind of saturates, so we'll get rid of there. And you can see they're all there. We just need to continually unhide the ones that are saturating, and we'll see the remaining ones. And then if there's areas where I'm interested in getting some data, I can always highlight across, and as soon as I highlight, you see that these view packets buttons above illuminated. So that tells me that for that period of time, there's still packets there for me to do deep packet inspection. So I can highlight, I can click on that, and then it will start the process where it starts OmniPeak, and it goes out to that particular device, and it will analyze those packets. That's only if we have the right box. Sorry about that, wrong box for me to do that. Some of the other things about WatchPoint we mentioned this earlier, the VoIP call records. So this will give us for the last hour, but again, we can go up for the last range, or even, more importantly, with VoIP, we want to go back and maybe, we want to know what the call history was, for a day's worth of calls, but we want to know that for, back 2 months ago. So we just go back 2 months, July 2nd, and then we'll go to July 10th to July 17th. So we'll go back and query a week's worth of voice over IP call data and bring that up into this view. So click update. It warns me that that's a relatively large query, but it still comes back very, very quickly. This is a box that we're still writing a very high data rate to. We're still analyzing our entire network back in Walnut Creek on this box, and the queries still come back that fast. And now we see a complete report of voice over IP traffic on my network for that particular period of time. So WatchPoint is an extremely flexible, extremely responsive overall network monitoring solution that still ties back into deep packet inspection. Lastly in there are our expert events. So I mentioned this was a key part of what we do with our appliances, and we can do the same thing here as well. We can see all of those expert events inside of WatchPoint, so we're able to graph all of this detailed analysis, things like the slow server response time, inefficient clients, DNS errors. We can see how many of those are happening on the network at any given time. For example, the TCP stuck window seems to be an issue for us, right? It's constantly cropping up. And then we can see all of those down below there. If we want to see more about the TCP stuck window, we can click on it. It will then come up and graph for me all of the particular network conversations that have that happening and which ones are having it happen most often. So I can see that right here. Now I'm just looking at that one event, TCP stuck window, and I'm looking at it. Here are the different flows that are experiencing it over here. So very quick to be able to do that. Similar to the rest of the product, if I find an area that I'm interested in, I can just come in, highlight it, and now if I wanted to go back and see the packet level data for just that fault on the network, I'm able to go do that. Click View Packets, I'm right back into that area of the detail analysis to be able to see what's causing that fault.
Is there any roadmap plans, for instance, to overhaul the interface away from Java?
Not immediately, but we will eventually take it away from Java and JavaScript. But it's not like the next version. Right now, this is
we certainly see. I think a lot of us in this room are not fans of Java's overall behavior, and you get inconsistent UIs, no mobile support, all that kind of thing. So it's, certainly, I think we would. HTML5 is a good thing.
Yeah, and we will make that switch, but like I say, it's probably not within this year. We're still trying to build features into the product, and we don't necessarily.
Some of you guys are kind of aware of the shortcomings, though.
We're very aware of the shortcomings. Yeah. Especially as a product manager, watching those types of bugs get filed with every release, right? It's a lot of that inconsistent stuff, and we spend a lot of time really, fixing it and making it consistent between browsers and doing a number of things that's probably way more work than it needs to be. Yeah.
When I've worked with various TCP expert analyzers and have had a long-lived flow where I missed connection setup, I've found that the window scaling options were missed, and so of course the expert analyzer was wrong about stuff. And to work around that, I've always created handcrafted packets, patched them into the capture, because I knew this is Solaris and that's Linux or whatever, and I knew what their scaling options were going to be, even though I hadn't seen them.
Right.
Can I fix that with your tool? Is there a right-click scale as kind of a thing?
All the experts have tunable characteristics to them. So if it's something that can be tuned in terms of what the threshold is or what the delay that you want to see is, then you can set values in the experts to do that.
Not so much thresholds, but treat this flow as though it had a 4-shift scaling factor kind of a thing.
I don't know.
Okay.
I know we've been asked about that before, but I don't. There's no automatic way that I can think of to do that.
Handcrafting, 2 packets to fix it is awful.
Right. No, I hear you. But I'm not. I know it's come up before, and I know our customer engineering group has worked with people before to help them fix that, but they may have done just that manual thing that you just described to help customers fix that. Yeah. So, just as a summary, of all the things that we covered today. So, first of all, from our perspective, 10 gig technology is certainly out there. It's ready, and we're ready for it. There's many approaches for doing, deep packet inspection, network analysis, at 10 gig. Whether it's some real-time analysis if it's not heavily utilized, or network recording if it is heavily utilized. The technology is out there today. There's new architectures, especially on the virtualization front, right, that are making challenges to network analysis, and that doesn't matter even if it's packet-based. Same thing is true of flow-based. It's true of just visibility in general. And as we discussed, there are new technologies that are coming out as part of the virtual machines that allow access at the packet level, even exporting of flow-based data, etc. But that's all relatively new, and enterprises need to be very careful about planning for visibility in these virtual layers. We're thinking ahead to 40 gig. We're planning ahead for that. It's years away, but customers need to be thinking about that as well. Enterprises need to be thinking about it. Network packet broker technology will likely factor into 40 gig solutions in a big way, probably for just about everybody. And then just planning ahead for network infrastructure and monitoring. And we saw that early with some of those statistics, right, where people are moving to 10 gig but don't have 10 gig tools to monitor the network. network analysis solutions do seem to be kind of the subsequent to. They always kind of run after the network upgrades. We'd love to kind of get people convinced that it needs to be planned with the network upgrade. Plan for upgrading your network analysis solutions with the hardware that you're upgrading, because you'll get the visibility that you need. With that, I definitely want to thank all you guys for having us here. I know it's Network Field Day number 6, and this is the first time we've been here. We really appreciate the opportunity to expose you guys to WildPackets and let you know what we do, and let you know that we're not just a wireless company, but we do an awful lot on the wired analysis side, and that's really where the bulk of our customers are. As we're done, I'll make sure everybody gets. We have a little USB extension dongle for you if you're interested, and then we have today's presentation, some collateral, a copy of OmniPeak on a USB flash drive for you. So if you want to take OmniPeak back with you and play with it back in your own labs, environments, whatever you have, we invite you to do that. And again, thanks very much for having us. We appreciate it.
Thank you.